I'm Catherine Mangan and I'm a Senior Fellow at InLGov at the University of Birmingham.
So I'm Catherine Needham, I'm based at the Health Services Management Centre at the University of Birmingham, and I work alongside Catherine Mangan.
So the key theme that's come out of the research is that the context in which councillors are working around permanent austerity and citizens' expectations changing, combined authorities, the idea of place changing, means that councillors are having to adapt the kind of roles that they play. Some of these roles are new, so for example the idea of being an advocate is perhaps something that councillors have always done, but that's been made more important by the context in which they're working. So, for example, austerity means that they're having to act as an advocate, perhaps not just for people who have voted for them or who shout the loudest, but also as an advocate to vulnerable people in the community and perhaps people who are sort of seldom heard. Other kinds of roles that are emerging are this idea of a buffer, so acting as somebody who can mitigate the impact of austerity on citizens, particularly the most vulnerable, perhaps not just as acting in that sort of traditional protector role, but as developing different policies, tailored policies to support vulnerable people. And this idea of a sense maker, so trying to translate for residents and citizens the shift in the way in which public services are being delivered and the ways in which citizens need to engage with public services, perhaps designing policies for themselves, helping to deliver and design services, and helping people understand why cuts are being made to particular services, why other services are having to be protected. So that idea of a sense maker, I think, is one that's really important.
So the roles that we identified that councillors will need to play mean there's a particular set of training and skills development needs that we identified, and some of that is around the sorts of training and development that's around already. So we know that councillors still want to have some of the practical skills around chairing a meeting, speed reading. They still need the content knowledge around planning and licensing, but we also know that some of that current development isn't necessarily very well attended, that there isn't necessarily perhaps a very big budget for it. So we got a sense from a lot of the people we interviewed that member training and development isn't particularly fit for purpose at the moment. And part of that, we think, is it also hasn't adapted to reflect some of what we call the relational skills that councillors need. And that's partly about operating in a context where social media is a really important way of connecting with citizens. And that doesn't necessarily mean you're just going on a media training course. It's about thinking about how you're going to communicate with citizens in a completely different kind of way. How do you set the boundaries of public and private life on social media? How do you cope with kind of the emotional toll of being a councillor where, a trip to the supermarket might take you 2 hours because everybody wants to sort of challenge you, and then you get home and you're being challenged on Facebook and Twitter as well. So we want member training and development to really adapt to provide councillors with the skills that they need.
It's been really useful to hear the reflections from the audience, particularly councillors, about their reaction to the report and the themes in it, and we look forward to continuing those conversations.